black coffee.
This is the Kavoya Coffee Podcasting Network. Coffee people talking to coffee people about coffee and things coffee adjacent. This episode of Coffee Memo is brought to you by Kavoya Specialty Coffee, where coffee is always a collaborative voyage. Welcome to Coffee Memo with Rob Stephen, a podcast where we talk about coffee industry news and current affairs. This is episode 15, and the topic is a few different things. Suez Canal, the war, Brazilian currency versus the dollar, shipping, logistics, tariffs, the coffee market, and maybe a Billy Joel song. So, Rob, I feel like I jinxed it. In our last episode, we were being pretty positive about things, and I mentioned that the Red Sea reopening, and Red Sea is the marketing guy's lingo for the Suez Canal.
Yes.
I mean, in Bloomberg, and we talked about Bloomberg being part of your dashboard, it's one of your primary sources for news, but they'd had a headline that said the Suez Canal reopening is a 2026 gift for commodities.
Yeah.
So that's the vibe I was, and though the Suez Canal is technically open still.
Just for ships with guns.
Right. I think that one of the reports I read said remains open for passage for those willing to accept the risk and high insurance.
Yes.
But traffic is down 60% still, especially over the days prior to 2023. And if you look at marine traffic, if you're used to looking at it, you can tell the canal looks pretty thin. You know, I mean, if you're not used to it, it might look full to you, but if you're used to looking at it, it's pretty thin.
Yeah, I wouldn't take my family on a yacht cruise through there right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of gray icons floating around that say unidentified.
Yeah, that reminds me. You will probably edit this out, but in the Billy Joel song, "We Didn't Start the Fire," in Boston, all my friends thought when he said "trouble in the Suez" that they meant the sewers in the ground, like where the rain goes.
There's rats in the Suez.
Yeah. So, I mean, we should talk about the sort of confluence of events that's happening right now, and try and unpack how it's made the market react. Mm-hmm. Because I think if you unpack it, you can get some sense out of it. Mm-hmm. Because what's been happening? So let's see. I do my thing now. Today is what's the date? It's March 10th, and we've spent a choppy week of sort of prices back up and moving around and sort of medium level, not volatility like we saw in 2025, but still plenty of sort of intraday volatility and a lot of sort of up and down, which is mirroring things like the oil market and the stock market, which have also been quite choppy, right? Mm-hmm. And so usually volatility is the confluence of opposing forces pushing on each other and the market trying to figure out which way which one it believes more.
Right.
And so when we look at the coffee market, there are a number of factors. The first one, of course, is this war in Iran, right? Mm-hmm. So trouble in the Suez, and we've got logistics pressure then on the shipping. Plus, we just have a general layer of uncertainty in energy and global stability and all these other things, right? So
sure.
So you end up with a situation where people will take their money and move it to safety. Mm-hmm. And what's always still considered safe, even after all the craziness we're going through, is the U.S. dollar.
Yeah.
Right. So U.S. assets and people want to put money into U.S. assets, so they need dollars, so the dollar strengthens, right? Mm-hmm. And so typically, when you have a strong U.S. dollar, you have a weak Brazilian real. The Brazilian real is the most important currency in coffee besides the dollar because it is the currency that is used to buy the largest crop of coffee in the world, right? Yeah. So the USD/BRL relationship is one that traders keep an eye on all the time. Mm-hmm. So typically the dollar goes up, the real goes down, and Brazil will be then inclined to sell more coffee because they will get more reais for their dollar. Mm-hmm. When they sell, they export, they get paid in dollars, they buy coffee inside the country of Brazil in reais, and if they can get more of them for $1, then coffee seems cheap, they're happy to buy and then expensive to sell, so happy to sell it. That's normally what happens.
Yeah, you said typically.
Typically, right, yeah. Spoiler alert. And so instead, what we have here is we have global instability, both on the political and the logistics front, and then we have a strengthening dollar and a strengthening real. And so those are pushing against each other and creating this volatility. So why is the real strengthening is really, I think, the question we should be asking, even though it's sort of very compelling to look at the war and say that that's the cause of the instability. That's just one factor in my view. So in Brazil, we've got a few things going on here. So we've got inside the country of Brazil, domestic policy matters. They've got very high interest rates. So what it's doing is making investors want to sort of borrow in cheaper currencies and then invest it in Brazil. And so in order to do that, they need to buy reals. And when they do that, that causes the currency to go up.
Right, sure, okay.
And so that's monetary policy inside Brazil having an effect, right? And then Brazil's running good trade surpluses with most of the world, strong exports, and they're sort of running that policy really well. So that also increases the value of their currency. And just their stock market and their sort of companies in Brazil in general, it's been performing really well. And there's just money. People just want to come in to Brazil. So all three of those are causing a rising Brazilian real. So when the Brazilian real is going up, producers don't want to sell.
Right. That was my next question.
Right. And remember, we've been talking about, we're waiting for this August new crop. The market's still inverted, right? And so the market is basically saying, come on, deliver coffee, right? The warehouse, we've gone up to 550,000 bags in the warehouse, certified stocks. But
first time over 500,000 bags in 5 months.
But it's a far cry from 1.5 million.
Yeah.
Right? So the market's still looking for coffee. I would say also that when the market dipped, roasters didn't do a lot of cover because they thought it was still going down.
Yeah.
So roasters still need coffee, and Brazilian producers don't want to sell, right? They don't want to sell, A, because they don't like lowering prices, and then second of all, the currency's going up.
Is there a precedent?
Has this happened before? I'm sure. Has there been a strengthening real and a strengthening dollar at the same time?
Yeah.
I'm sure plenty of times. I'm probably looking at the person who could best look that up.
Okay. Hi, this is Mike from the future, and let's just say it's very rare.
But I would say that we end up in this situation where the producers don't want to sell. We've got 3-4 months before new crop, and everyone needs coffee. And so that's going to make market prices go up.
Yeah.
Right. And so, it's sort of this convoluted path of how do we go from war in Iran to strengthening Brazilian real to coffee futures markets going up. And then the volatility coming from, it should be when the dollar goes up, the real usually goes down. And there's an outlook of lots of coffee coming. So those are bearish. And then you've got the real and the war, which are bullish, and they're hitting each other like two fists. And then you get the volatility. So all that a long, complicated way of saying that it's probably going to be a crazy month.
Yeah, because I know when prices were a little bit lower than they are now, and we talked about roasters who continue to hedge their bets.
Yeah.
And so maybe this is a good time to remind folks that you should have done it.
Yeah. Well, that's not reminding. That's I told you so.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Excuse me.
Which I've been told I'm not allowed to do anymore. So.
Okay.
No, I think right now, an old mentor of mine used to say the best hedge is inventory, right?
Yeah.
So if in uncertain times, if you have coffee at a price that you can afford, you are hedged. That's really the way to look at it, and not look at it as some sort of complicated trading strategy.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's important to note that, and everyone's a little different, but for most people, the coffee that they paid the most for during the sort of height of the market is just being roasted now.
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of those deliveries are just happening now. So people think, the storm is past. But for a lot of people, it's like, this is the day after the snowstorm and everyone's got to shovel out now.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Which is an apt metaphor for Providence, which got 3 feet of snow 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's a good reminder that the delay, on tariffs and everything, a lot of those impacts are still being felt, and some of them haven't been felt yet.
Yeah, and so you brought up the T word, right? So that's the topic du jour is tariff refunds, right? And so I think that, and this doesn't just relate to coffee. I think this relates to anything that was imported. My sense of this is that there will be a process for the CBP to give refunds to importers. I think it's going to take somewhere between 3 and 9 months for that to roll through.
That seems fast.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot of pressure for them to do it.
Okay.
And I think that from what I'm reading, they're having to sort of reprogram their systems to be able to do a mass reversal. It was interesting. I mean, I'm always interested in efficiency. I was reading the testimony of the guy who's representing CBP in court.
Right.
And he said, well, sure, we could push the button you're asking to, but then I would need someone to double check every single one, and that's 4 million labor hours. It's like, oh, maybe don't do it that way.
Yeah. Kind of fun whenever anti-bureaucrats have to establish a bureaucracy.
Yeah. So, it's like, or you could give us a few more months and then we could do it the right way, that kind of thing. So they're, oh, sure, let's do it that way,
Okay.
But I think all sorts of businesses are going to be in a conundrum of how much tariffs did I pay versus did you buy that specifically for me? And then I paid the tariff for you, and then you paid me back for the tariffs, and now it's going to go back, or was it blended into a whole bunch of stuff?
Yeah.
And you only bought some of what was bought, and then there was interest charges on it, and so it's like I think if you're a consumer of anything, your sort of involvement in the tariff process is going to determine the nature of your refunds, I think. Right, because some of it's going to be like trying to get eggs out of a cake that you've already baked.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. I mean, I think there's going to be not as much chaos as going in, but I think there'll be some chaos in the way out. But I would say if you're sitting there waiting for counting on your refund check as a source of income,
no,
push that to the side.
Think of it as a bonus.
Exactly. Yeah. But what I can say is that anybody who collected tariffs on behalf of somebody else is fixing to give them back. I know we are. So
yeah, thank God for good record keeping.
Yeah. But the government has been anything if not unpredictable. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We have to see what's going to happen.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. I'm enjoying the progress of the new studio.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah, putting together a video team because I'm way out over my skis.
Yeah, and you've just finished, you're in the middle of finishing our first Straight Up podcast.
Yes, we have a new show.
Yeah. Any wise words about it, or?
It's really fun to listen to some of our team just talk about life in coffee and life at Kavoya without really having any sort of agenda. We're all sitting around and chatting, and it's sort of comfort food.
My agenda is to be a special guest on that show.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let him know.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. You've been listening to Coffee Memo with Rob Stephen, part of the Kavoya Coffee Podcasting Network, where the executive producer is me, Mike Ferguson. Our theme music for Coffee Memo is Jealous Dogs by The Pretenders. If you know, you know. If you don't know, ask.
Black coffee.
If you've enjoyed this or any show on the Kavoya Coffee Podcasting Network, please do all the things. Like, rate, subscribe, follow, tell your friends. Right now. I'll wait. You'll find a link to our short listener survey in the show notes. And if you haven't already, please take the survey.
Please, I'm begging you.
Finally, remember 2 things. You can always email me with thoughts, questions, ideas, and recipes at mike.ferguson@kavoya.com. And Black Coffee is performed by the one and only Ella Fitzgerald.
We're going with smoky today. Smoky.